video we will discussing the topic of what is the purpose of a contract, what is the effect of a contract, what is the microfinance, and what is the Islamic microfinance, and how it differs from the conventional microfinance, and lastly, how microfinance justifies the purpose and effect of a contract that is different from conventional microfinance. Poverty is one of the challenges faced by certain communities in both rural and urban areas of a country. Poverty can be defined as low income earned by an individual or family to meet their daily financial issues. In order to reduce the number of poverty, a financial alternative has been introduced in order to help the poor to stabilize their financial status. This alternative is called as microfinance. Microfinance can be explained as provision of financial service to low-income and self-employed individuals. Goals targeted for microfinance is to uplift poor people in the society and give them opportunity to increase their quality life and become self-sufficient. In Islamic views, helping the poor is one of the obligations toward all Muslims. In Surah Al-Hadid, verse 7 includes, "Believe in Allah and His Messenger and donate from what He has entrusted you with. So those who believe and donate will have a mighty reward." Other than conventional counterparts, Islamic microfinance does take part in providing the poor by using permissible practice by the Sharia law. So in this topic, we can relate that the sustainable development goal suit for this topic is a goal 1, which is no poverty.
Just like how we live in this world with the purpose to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same also goes to a contract. Every contract consists of a purpose and people enter into contracts for various purposes. The purpose of a contract can be defined as the main reasons as to why people enter and make the contracts. It is very important to identify the purpose in making a contract in order to determine the direction to where the contract will be going. There are many types of contracts, and one of the most common one is the contract of sale. The purpose of this contract is to exchange goods and services for money between buyer and seller. Besides that, we are also familiar with the contract of lease, with its actual purpose is so that the tenants can use the leased properties in a fixed period of time as agreed. From all of the examples given, it shows how a purpose for the contract can guarantee a certainty, especially in the written contract, as it captures and records the transactions, promises, or any form of ownership transfer in detail, thus making it easy to be referred in the future. It is to be noted that an individual is only entitled to the purpose of the contract once they conclude the contract. In Islam, all purpose of the contract should follow the Sharia by avoiding prohibited elements. However, there are many contracts out there that are entered for different purposes than what it intends to. This term can be known as intention, and it can be both lawful and unlawful. According to Hanafi and Shafi'is, they believe that iradah batiniyah or hidden intentions are not being considered in ensuring the validity of a contract. They only look into iradah zahiriyah or expression without looking into the hidden intention when making a contract. Hence, it will not affect the contract as it deemed as valid as long as the pillars and the conditions of a contract has been fulfilled. Unless if the contract is entered with a bad intention, then the contract shall be void. On the other hand, from Hanbalis and Malikis' point of view, they believe that when there exists a hidden intention, then the contract will be invalid, especially those contradicts with the Sharia, in a condition that the other party is aware that there is indeed an unlawful intention behind the contract. For instance, a gift given to the authorities will be considered as a bribe because of potential hidden intentions such as to gain position or a particular benefit. Conversely, all of the juries seems to have agreed that fictitious contracts or a contract with an expression without intention, such as those contracts entered by minor, insane and drunk person, since they have no intention to conclude the contract. The same also goes to when a person enters the contracts by force or by mistakes. Then the contract is considered as invalid.
The consequences or outcomes of a contract, as well as the parties' rights and liabilities, are referred to as its effects. The effects of the contract can also be defined as the transfer or passing of the property. The transfer of property in goods differs from the delivery of goods. The passing of ownership in goods is referred to as property transfer. Property in goods includes both general and special property. Even before the goods are delivered, property or ownership in the goods may pass to the buyer. However, the mere delivery of the goods may not constitute the transfer of ownership in the goods. The effects of a contract of sale, for example, are the transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer in exchange for a consideration or compensation. The effects of the sale-purchase agreement concretize into the obligations resulting in the parties' tasks and in the transmission of ownership and of the risk. Another example is the consequences of a lease agreement. The lease contract's purpose is to allow the tenant to use the leased assets. As a result, it has the effect of transferring ownership over usufruct to the tenant in exchange for consideration. Another example to demonstrate the effect of a contract is the kafalah contract. The creditor has the right to collect the debt from either the principal debtor or the guarantor after signing a valid kafalah. Kafalah may be immediate, conditional, or contingent. When a person agrees to become a guarantor, the guarantee takes the immediate effects. Normally, the impact of a contract is chosen and achieved when all of the contract's requirements and agreements satisfy both parties according to Sharia law. A contract is a legally binding agreement that establishes, defines, and governs the mutual rights and obligations of its parties. A contract typically involves the exchange of goods, services, or money, or the promise to exchange any of these at a later date. To give rise to a contract and its associated obligations, an agreement must contain four essential elements: offer, acceptance, consideration, and an intention to create legal relations. However, if the effect contract is modified without the consent of both parties, the contract is said to be void. The effect of a void contract is that neither party can enforce the contract when it was formed, as the contract had never been created. Therefore, neither party can enforce any rights or perform any obligation set out in the contract.
The provision of financial service to low-income and self-employed individuals is known as microfinance. Microfinance is the effort to increase access to small deposits and loans for disadvantaged households who are overlooked by banks. Microfinance is closely related to achieving shared prosperity because it allows the poor segment of the population to gain financial freedom through any income-generating economic activity, such as promoting small-scale entrepreneurial activities, thereby reducing inequality in countries' socio-economic well-being. Microfinance loans vary from 1,000 to 50,000 with loan terms ranging from 1 month to 7 years. Microfinance has been recognized as a crucial socio-economic and financial tool to reducing poverty, fostering business growth, and increasing the profile of the poor in a number of countries throughout the world. One of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations is to eliminate extreme poverty and hunger. Microfinance clients have been benefited from increased household income, better nutrition and health, the option to seek higher education, and the capacity to entirely raise themselves and their family out of poverty. Microfinance is significant because it provides resources and money to individuals who are financially disadvantaged. Without microfinance, these people may be forced to rely on risky loans or high-interest payday advance or even borrow money from relatives and friends. The advantage of microfinance is providing immediate funds. These are very few rules and documentation to obtain credit from microfinance bank, since the credit facility distribution system of microfinance bank places less emphasis on collateral. On the other hand, it also gives the educational assistance. Children from low-income households are either not enrolled in their school or miss the school. Microfinance solution can help these children by giving funding to cover the family's financial requirement and allowing the children to continue their educations. It is also create job opportunity when microfinance banks pull the money from individuals who have them and make them available to those who are required for the business purpose. Microfinance can also help assist small entrepreneurs to create new work opportunities for others. Job creation via microfinance benefits individuals at all levels, not just entrepreneurs, because the firm exists purely to raise people out of the poverty. And the last one, the benefit of microfinance that we can see by the diversity. When the women have had less access to the credit and other financial service because of commercial banks frequently focus on men and formal business while ignoring women. Microfinance empowers women by placing money in their hand and allowing them to earn the living and contribute financially to their families and community.
Differences between Islamic microfinance and conventional microfinance can be identified through certain aspects, which are targeted group, principles used to implement the finance, focus group, and the source of funds gained to provide for the poor. The targeted group in conventional microfinance, all poor are categorized as one, while in Islamic microfinance, poor people can be divided by two types, which are extreme poor and moderate poor. Extreme poor are the type who do not need loan to survive, but charitable funds such as zakat to survive. While moderate poor are the people who need loan to run micro-enterprise from the loan obtained. For the second differences, conventional microfinance uses debt or interest-based financing, while Islamic microfinance uses profit or loss sharing, in which there are no interest involvement in the contract. Furthermore, for the focus group, conventional microfinance focuses their financial access to women in order to create more opportunities for them to develop their financial status. While in Islamic microfinance, they focuses their focus to all poor individuals and families. Last but not least, in sourcing their funds, conventional microfinance and Islamic microfinance have the same way to source their funds, which by external funds and savings of the clients. Even though that, in Islamic microfinance, there are another way for them to source their funds, which by Islamic charity funds such as zakat. Based on the explained differences, we can justify how the purpose and effect of Islamic microfinance contract can be different from conventional microfinance. In order to justify the purpose of the contract between conventional and Islamic microfinance, Islamic microfinance uses Sharia law to practice their operation, while conventional microfinance uses debt-based financing to operate their operation. When the contract between poor people and the banks bind, Islamic microfinance clients are benefited in terms of no interest will be charged to them, as in Sharia law, interest or riba are prohibited in Islam. Here it explains how the purpose of a contract achieved, since there are exchange counterparts between both parties, where the banks exchanging their service to help the poor and the poor receive the loan to alleviate their financial status. In terms of effect, most of the conventional and Islamic microfinance clients are involving themselves in micro-enterprise with the credit received. To justify the effect of Islamic microfinance, it helps the poor to operate their business and increase their income without any debt incurred to them, because most of the contracts are based on basic transaction which only involve with buying and selling operation, which permissible in Islam. For example, the contract of murabahah, musyarakah, ijarah, and qard hasan. Here it can justify the effect of Islamic microfinance contract compared to conventional microfinance, which the transfer of ownership are achieved between the poor and the banks, since the poor benefited from the loan received and the banks could profited from the transacted loan.
As a conclusion, every contract needs to be concluded first so that a party can obtain its purpose and effects as per determined in this Islamic law. While for microfinance, it is a good approach to reduce the inequalities in the socio-economic well-being in a country by helping to achieve Goal 1 and Goal 10 of the SDGs. However, conventional and Islamic microfinance does differ from each other, which can be seen by the practice itself, where Islamic microfinance is guided by Sharia law, while conventional microfinance just aims to maximize their profits, which may involve riba, maisir, and gharar. In addition, Islamic microfinance contract is entered with the intention to seek for Allah's pleasure, while conventional microfinance may involve undesirable situations since there may exist hidden intention which will cause uncertainty in the contract. In short, Islamic microfinance is crucial in the economic sector as it allows more entrepreneurial opportunity from the lower income groups in an effort to ensure an economic growth in a country. That being said, that is all from us. Thank you.